It was supposed to be invisible. That's what made it terrifying when people started seeing it. The mirror house sat on the edge of Henderson, Nevada, past a long road of sand, scrub, and silence. It belonged to Dr. Alan Reese, a solar engineer, his wife Maya, a light artist, and their son Theo, 8 years old and wild about rockets. The Reeses wanted to live off the grid. Their dream home was built from experimental panels that reflected sunlight, so completely the building seemed to vanish. Even the mailbox was mirrored a cube of desert sky. They moved in quietly, and for 6 months, the house shimmered like a mirage, and no one complained. Then one night, the neighbors saw flashes, not lightning, not fireworks, just white bursts of light exploding inside the reflection of the desert. When Officer Mark Salazar arrived for a wellness check, he almost drove past the place. At high noon, it looked like an empty lot. Then the heat shimmered, and the house appeared a perfect box of mirrors that threw the world back at itself. He parked, stepped out, and saw his own reflection multiplied across the panels, 20 versions of himself watching from every wall. Inside, the air was cool and too still. The rooms glowed faintly silver. Everything was mirrored, walls, floor, even the refrigerator. Dinner sat half-eaten on the counter. 2 plates, a glass of water with thumbprints. No signs of struggle, just repetition. When he called out, his voice came back slower, thinner, like the house was practicing it. Down the hall, a child's room gleamed with infinite rockets and planets repeating into the dark. Theo's shoes were neatly paired. His dog's collar, Pinto, lay open beside them. At the far end, Mark found what he would later call the heart, a studio filled with mirror panels, and one massive freestanding mirror framed in dull steel. A tablet blinked on a stand beside it, pulsing faintly. He lifted a hand. The reflection lifted too, but late, a beat behind. He froze. Backup arrived. Officer Naomi Glenn and a forensic team. They found fingerprints, dozens of them pressed flat into glass walls, all small, child-sized. The tablet unlocked to reveal a program called Project Helios, light memory capture. Its folder contained dozens of short clips, each labeled with the same phrase. Stan, listen, smile. Naomi opened the newest file. It showed the Reese family standing before the tall mirror Allen in a hoodie, Maya barefoot with paint stains on her jeans, Theo in pajamas. They didn't move. They didn't blink. At the 3-second mark, all 3 smiled at once. Then the clip ended. The next file? The same. Again, and again, hundreds of loops of the same 3 seconds. Maya's open sketchbook lay on a counter nearby. On one page, she'd written, "Mirror isn't image, mirror is door." Below that, "You have to match the house to itself." As the sun dropped, the mirrored walls caught the sky and wore it like a second skin. For a moment, the house looked alive, breathing with color. Then every panel dimmed to gray. Mark looked into the tall mirror one last time. His reflection looked back late again, almost smiling. He blinked. The reflection didn't. 2 weeks later, a teenage explorer slipped past the police tape with a drone. The footage, uploaded to YouTube, showed the drone floating through the mirrored living room. Reflections bent the space, floor became ceiling, walls became corridors. Then the drone turned toward the freestanding mirror. In the reflection, a little boy in dinosaur pajamas waved. But the boy wasn't in the room. The drone kept filming until the reflection leaned closer, smiling. Then the feed went white. The clip hit 1 million views before sunrise. Detectives returned to the site with a physicist from UNLV. She studied the mirror's frame and whispered, "This isn't decoration. It's a tuned cavity built to trap light." Naomi frowned. "Trap light? If you tune 2 spaces right," the physicist said, "they start believing they're the same space." The team rebooted the system. The tablet flickered and 2 new recordings appeared, time-stamped after the power had been cut. Both showed the same thing. The Reese family standing in front of the mirror, smiling, still listening. Naomi couldn't shake it. The notes, the files, the smiles, all part of a pattern. She stood in the same scuff marks on the mirrored floor where Maya had once stood. The physicist begged her not to. "Stan," Naomi whispered. The air trembled. Listen. A hum filled the room too low to be sound, too deep to be silence. Then she smiled, and the mirror smiled back first. For a heartbeat, the studio changed. The missing family stood right there, transparent but solid, superimposed like a double exposure. Theo lifted a small hand to glass. A child's fingerprint bloomed on Naomi's side of the mirror, glowing faintly blue. "Step back," the physicist shouted. Naomi did. The figures vanished. The mirror dimmed to black. No one ever entered the house again. The county sealed it with metal plates. The guard on night shift said he heard humming a slow rhythmic pulse, like a sleeping breath. Then came the second drone video. It appeared on a random channel, re-uploaded from somewhere unknown. This version showed 6 more seconds than the original. In those seconds, a woman with long braid appeared on the other side of the freestanding mirror. She pressed her palm to the glass. When she pulled it back, a name had appeared, the username of the drone pilot, written backward. The video cut to static. Months later, Officer Mark drove back to the lot. From the road, the house seemed gone, just empty desert. Then the light shifted, and the structure shimmered back into view. He rolled down his window. Cool air brushed his cheek, impossible in the Nevada heat. "Alan," he called softly. Something moved in the reflection of his car window, the boy again, smiling. 3 seconds late, Mark smiled without meaning to, and the reflection's smile lingered after his own faded. He drove home and covered his bathroom mirror with a towel. When his wife asked why, he said the glass felt cold. Today, locals call it the house that sees itself. Every October, hikers report flashes from the hills, not lightning, just white bursts inside the desert sky. Utility workers claim the property still pulls power every night at 2:13 a.m., even though the breakers are off. And sometimes, on a foggy morning, drivers swear they glimpse a mirrored wall beside the highway only for it to vanish in the next blink. Inside that reflection, a family stands waiting. They don't move. They just listen. And when the light is just right, you can see the faintest fingerprints on the glass. A child's hand, pressed from the wrong side. Stand, listen, smile, because if the house remembers you, the reflection might remember you back.